Loretta, I still find it hard to believe that they buried me in this suit. Everyone knows I spend more time in work clothes.
Oh, Nathaniel, there was more to your life than that ranch and working in that shoe shop. I always kind of liked you cleaned up and dressed up.
Please pardon my manners, folks. My name is Nathaniel Langell, and this lovely lady is my wife, Loretta Jane.
Welcome. I was born in Missouri back in 1839, and I came to Oregon with my family in a covered wagon in 1854. What a trip! It was so difficult, but we finally settled on Butte Creek.
And I was born January 6, 1831, in Nova Scotia. My mother died when I was 9 years old, leaving my father 6 children to care for. After I finished school, I was apprenticed to a bootmaker. When I was 23, my father, Joseph, and I came west to the Oregon Territory by sailing around the Horn.
And when he arrived in Oregon, we met, and I was 19, he was 27. We got married. We had 10 children, and we were married for 55 years. But 4 of our 10 children didn't have long, full lives. Life was so difficult back then, remember?
I do. After we got married, we settled on a donation land claim on the Rogue River. 10 years later, we moved to what became Klamath County, along with my father and my older brother, Arthur. There we drained and claimed about 4,000 acres of land. For a short while, we tried growing cranberries on that lake bed, but we gave up on that.
Right. Because we were the first white settlers in that area, folks started calling that the Langell Valley, and they also said that the draining of that land was probably the first reclamation project in all of southern Oregon.
So my father and Arthur lived on and worked the Langell Valley for the rest of their days. They ran cattle there, and they sold beef to both sides, to Captain Jack of the Modoc Indians and to the Army during the Modoc Indian War. In 1879, my father died, and Loretta and I moved back to Jackson County. In 1894, Frank Swingle shot and killed Arthur over a break in the fence by the Beekman property. It caused quite an uproar, and the case was tried twice. Even then, it was the Wild West.
I'd like to think things like border disputes don't happen nowadays.
Me too. So I also became Jacksonville's first cobbler. Men were so proud of the boots I made that they would tuck their trousers inside their boots.
And Nathaniel, you remember when you were chairman of the Committee on Mining when you served in the state legislature? And after that, he served for 6 years as a deputy tax collector.
And all that politicking aside, I was just as happy to be a Mason and president of the Jacksonville City Board.
Well, one of my cherished memories was when our daughter married Mr. William Hale. And I'd like to read just a little bit from a clipping from the newspaper. I just happen to have it with me. The wedding was the most noted social event in our city's history, celebrated by a throng of guests. Bride's parents are extensively and favorably known throughout the entire state. Bride has endeared herself to a large circle of friends. Bridal attire was rich in exquisite taste, as was that of the attendants.
It gave us great joy to celebrate the union of Eliza and William with such a lavish wedding.
And the gifts came pouring in from all the prominent families in Jacksonville. Why, there were presents from the McCulleys and the Beekmans and the Britts and even Alice Hanley.
I'm not sure who was happier, the bride or my wife.
Well, of course I was happy, Nathaniel. Every mother wants to see her daughter happily married. And then, at the age of 67, when most men were slowing down, Nathaniel took a job as a forest supervisor. he had a salary of $5 a day. Can you imagine that much?
I really enjoyed that job. Do you remember that Kit Carson worked for me back then?
I do, yes.
He said he named his horse Napoleon because he already had a bony part.
Well, Nathaniel retired in 1901, and things did slow down after that. I died on October 31st, 1913, at the age of 74.
And I passed May 15th, 1919, at the home of Eliza and Judge Hale at the age of 88.
Well, at least you didn't marry any of those widow women that were always hanging around you.
My dear, how could there have been anyone after you? For a short while, we tried growing cranberries on that lake bed, but we gave up on that.
Right.
I mean, Loretta, everyone knows to spend more time in work clothes.
Well,